Now we're going to go through the instructions on how to set up the gyro with the display unit. You start by just turning everything on and plug the display into the hole furthest from the wires. You can see it here plugged in next to the furthest point from all the rest of the wires. Now note this one has an extra adapter, wire harness adapter, and this is just to derive an extra display for me to see. So you wouldn't normally have this adapter. It would just be your normal plug from your G-View plugged in here. Now to enter the actual programming mode, you're going to push and hold the P button for about 6 seconds. So you switch over to setup menu. First thing you're going to set is the servo type. In this case, it's 9253/8900 option. To scroll between the different servo types, you're going to push L or H to actually start scrolling. There's an 8700G option, standard servo, 9250/156, or back to the 9253/8900 that is on this model, the 8900. So I'll leave it on 8900. Your next option, next thing you want to set up is you want to go to tail rotor neutral. By going to the next one, you push P to get there. The tail rotor neutral. What that does, that moves the servo itself to neutral. This is where you actually want to set the geometry of the tail rotor up. So you're going to look at the tail servo. It's the push rod, the servo arm, should be at 90 degrees to the push rod. The rest of your geometry should be at 90 degrees also. The push rod should go back to any other L levers or control arms. They should all be at 90 degrees. And the slider at the tail rotor should be centered. So you're in the center of your travel. So just check your geometry here. Some gyros, they require you to fly the model in normal mode and then trim it in flight, land, and then just switch to heading mode. This gyro does not have that mode. There is no normal mode. This is where you trim the model mechanically on the ground. Then you simply go fly. You don't need to trim it in the air. Now that we've set up the tail rotor neutral, now we move to the next step by pushing P. This is where we set our gyro direction. In this case, on this model, it's reversed. But what you want to do is move your control on your rudder, see which direction gives you right rudder. Confirm which direction that moves the servo. Then you want to move the model. I tend to move it so the nose turns to the left. Confirm that you're getting a right input on the tail rotor to give you the proper correction. If you're not, then you want to push the L or H button, I'll push the H, to reverse the direction so you know it's going the right way. In this case, we want it reversed as opposed to normal to work properly on this model. Now that we've checked the direction, we're going to move on to step 6. Step 6 is setting the limit. In this case, we start with the right limit. So you push the P to get us to right limit. Now the first thing you want to do in this mode is you want to give right input. Give right input to tell the gyro which is right. It's going to then move to its limit. What it has preset is the limit. If that limit's not enough, you want to keep holding right until it hits the limit. If it's too much, if it's actually buzzing and hitting, you then back off and give opposite control to reduce that limit slightly with left. And you want it to almost hit, not quite. You don't want to hear the servo buzzing. You just want to just almost touch the limit. Once you've set the right limit, you're going to move to the next step by pushing P, which is left limit. And this now goes to what is the preset left limit. If that's not enough, you then want to hold left to increase it. And as you increase, the left limit number actually goes down. That's just a setting on the channel, but that's actually more left. If that's too much, you want to give right to decrease it. And again, you want it to just almost touch, but not quite be hitting. So that was step 7. Now, once that's done, you want to move on to step 8 by pushing the P button. And what this is what this is actually showing you is your setting on the radio. So whatever channel you have your blue wire, the one with the blue heat shrink, whatever that is plugged into, that is the channel you will change to change this number. In this case, I'm at 62%. Some models, we tell you in the instructions to start at 39% because that's a safe, solid number that won't be too high or too low. You can increase or decrease as needed. This model, like 62%, so that's where it's presently set at. Now we've done with step 8, we move on to step 9. Step 9, we've had a few people that are confused by this step. All the aux input is it's simply showing you what the receiver is telling the gyro. General customers, you don't even need to pay any attention to this number. You can skip right over it. It is really just for us debugging any issues from customers to see if their radio, what information the radio is actually sending to the gyro. So the general suggestion is just ignore this number. It's really for debugging issues. So we move on from step 9 on to step 10. Now, this is actually going to step 10 is going to the next menu. To switch between menus on the solid G, you hold the P button down for another 6 seconds. You keep holding and it will finally switch over to the next menu, which in this case is the model menu, where you select your heli type. Now if you notice when it first flashed on there, it flashed a different name, which I believe was the T-Rex 600 model. So that's the model this is actually presently set for. But you can select other models that have preset parameters, for like a Vibe or a Stratus or a Raptor 50, to get the gyro much closer to the proper setting for that model. So you just select the model you want. In this case, if I want to do a Vibe, I can push L, which means use this model. It will then say, are you sure? And if you are, you say H for yes or P for no. In this case, I will select it, and I'll say yes. Now what it's going to tell you is it's now set for the Vibe, and for it to reset, you need to power off the radio. So you just unplug it, and then it's now powered with this setting, and you're ready to fly.